How is it going? Welcome to the new vlog. It is the beginning of June. I think originally I said I was going to do the 1st, but I didn't think that through. And I realized I filmed the last day of the month, so if I do the beginning, that's back-to-back vlogging, and that is pretty exhausting doing 2 days in a row. So it is the 5th today, so I mean pretty similar. So far the month has not been great. I think basically break even. First 2 days were pretty bad, especially Monday. I think I was down it felt like a win because I was down like 1,400 at a point, or 15, and I ended up down just 400. So those days kind of feel like a win. And but yesterday was good. And anyways, just a little update with how it's going, doing these vlogs every week. My first one tomorrow will be the beginning of May for you guys, and yeah, it's been a hustle trying to edit every single week, because apart from that, I haven't posted any reel because I've been so focused on that. I don't know if I mentioned, I edit the content for my wife as well, because I play a lot of hours. I'm putting more hours in and I'm taking time away from her time. So to kind of compensate for that, you know, we work like a team. I'm basically her assistant. So I edit for her. If she needs me to look stuff up, I look that all up while I'm playing. And yeah, so anyways, hopefully I could keep this going. It's a experiment that I hope I could make it into a consistent thing. So let's just head in now. Well, leave the handle of my wife's, give her a little shout out. She does relationship content, assertiveness, and I think it's good for anybody. Everybody I think should watch her stuff, and I'm on some of them. I help her with acting as well sometimes. So anyways, let's just head in and play some poker. Hopefully run well and get the month going a little better. Let's play some poker. We head into the poker room and they're just opening a 1-3. So we head in there, but we just play one hand. I'm in a small blind with pocket deuces, and I table chain since another table looks more action, and I have a friend. He is Aaron. You may know him if you watch my content. So we head over there. And as poker is, we absolutely play no hand in 1-3. It's a super card dead. The game was pretty good, but I didn't have any decent hand to be able to play. I did have pocket deuces in the small blind, and we chopped that up, and then 5-3 off, 7-6 off, and that is it. At least we get the good news that a 2-5 is opening up. We are going to start six-handed, but that is fine. Let's just get this game going, and we get going with a bomb pot. And we are going to play it, so get ready for a bunch of cards. We have ace, queen, king, 3. That is definitely a pretty hand, and the flops are promising. 6, jack, 6. So we have the nut flush draw over there. Not the best since it is a paired board. And the other one we got 4, 4, 5. So we got a gut shot. We see the amazing news that it checks to me. So yeah, I have draws, but both of them are paired boards, so pretty weak draws. I check back. Turn is a queen and a deuce. So decent turn cards. Now I got top pair, top kicker, nut flush draw, and on the bottom I have a straight. So when it checks to me again, now I think my hand is strong enough to bet. So I make it $50 and just under the calls. River is a queen and 8. So now I have trips, ace kicker, and the straight checks to me. And I don't have the strongest hands, honestly, for a bomb pot, but heads up, I think it's really hard for me to lose both boards, so maybe I could get him to fold a better hand, or if not, there's a chances he calls on one board with worse. Maybe he got a queen with a worse kicker, or maybe just trip 4s and he calls thinking that maybe he's good on that board, so definitely think it's good enough to bet. I make it $150. He calls and we don't lose, but we don't win either. We will chop it up against 4 deuce. So when I turn the straight, he turned the full house, and we will chop this bomb pot up. That, hey, at least gets us in the green. Moving on to 6, 7 off, and on the cutout with pocket deuces. I make it $15 and get the button to call. Flop 4, 6, 6. So not the worst, being out of position to have a checking range strategy. That is what I do. He checks back. Turn is beautiful. A deuce. So we got a full house. And now I think if I check twice, he could definitely start stabbing, especially since now if he has any heart, he has a flush draw, and I look pretty weak checking twice, then I go for a check raise. But when I check, he checks back again. River is an 8, and after checking twice, let's just bet massive, being very polar, and hopefully what he probably just has is maybe he has showdown ace high that doesn't believe us after checking 2 times. I make it $50, but no value to get with our full house, and he just lets it go. 10, 8 off, and now we got another pocket pair, a little better. Pocket 7s and under the gun. I make it $15, get a button, a small blind to call. Ends up checking down. Flop is 9, 8, queen. Turn is a 5, river is a 5. I show, and we are good. 6, 9 off, queen deuce suited. 8, 7 off, and pocket pairs today so far. Pocket jacks in the cutoff. I make it $15, not a small blind. A pretty tight player pre-flop. Usually he just calls, makes it 30. So yeah, definitely interesting. I'm not 4-betting against him since I never see him 3-bet. So I just call once again, ends up checking down. Flop is 6, 3, king, turns a 7. River is a 9, and we are good against ace 10 off. That I was definitely very surprised. As I mentioned, he almost never 3-bets, and especially when he did that small, I was just not sure what was going on. So, yeah, that was definitely interesting. Time for another bomb pot that, once again, gonna get involved in. I got a very pretty hand, king, 6, ace, king. So, let's hope for a king on a flop. One board is deuce, 5, 6. So, yeah, top pair. That's not that good. Second is ace, jack, 8. So, top pair, top kicker, something. We should go news when it checks around. Turn is a deuce and a king, so we do hit a set, but it is queen 10 is a straight, and in bomb pots that is pretty likely. So when it checks to me with a set on one board and really not much on the other, and it could be straights on mine, I just don't think it's strong enough, so I do check. Checks around, river is a jack and a 5. Hijack bets $90, and yeah, I don't see the purpose in raising here since, again, my hand isn't that strong and I have nothing on the other board. So I just call, and once again, we chop it up. It's the other player that has jack deuce. So he takes one board with a full house and I take the other with a set. So once again, we chop it up. 9 4 off, 10 4 suited, 7 4 off, queen 8 off, king 6 off, queen 7 off, king 6 off. And now we got a hand that is not a pocket pair. King jack off in the big blind. Under that makes it $15, but then small blind calls. And I close the action calling as well. Flop. Ace 4 deuce. So yeah, when small blind needs for $30, I just let it go. King deuce off, 5 deuce suited, 7 3 off, jack deuce off, jack 8 off, and now we are in the small blind with queen 7 suited. Folds to us, and usually we chop it up, but because we were short-handed, the house was giving us just $2 rake. So when it's like that, we play the blind. So I do call, big blind checks, flop. Jack king 4, checks around, turns a king. I bet $5. He calls. River is a 9. I check. He checks, I show, and he mucks. So our queen high will be good. Next hand is jack deuce off, and once again, pocket deuces in the cutoff. Hijack makes it $20, and this was a pretty passive game. I think I can see a flop, and the rake is low, so I call king high flop. So he bet $60, and yeah, I let it go. Ace 4 off, jack 9 off in the big blind. Small blind folds, so I get that money. Now we got pocket 8s in the small blind, but that makes it $25. And I think this one is good enough to 3-bet. This is kind of like a borderline spot, honestly, because I do think it's a 3-bet. But in these games, I think a lot of times I'm only going to get called by better. So, yeah, I think flatting is okay as well. But the moment I do 3-bet, I make it $100, and he just lets it go. Ace deuce off, down to cut off with a okay-ish one. King jack off. I make it $15, but then rips it for $90. Small blind calls. And yeah, I was going to call the 90. That is our friend Aaron. When a small blind calls, it looks pretty damn strong. So yeah, king high, I just let it go. And yeah, we would have been good since the small blind called with king 10 suited, and there was a king on the river, and his king was good. So yeah, I thought the small blind was calling a little tighter than that against a 3-bet jam. And yeah, he will take this one down since we folded. Today's promo is the best one for me since it's from the aces, full houses. Every time I get those, I get stamps, and they do drawings on Wednesdays. And we just got called, and it's worth $100. That is definitely nice. And let's move on to pocket 10s in a hijack. I make it $15. It's just a big blind calls. Flop. 8 jack 7. So not the worst. One overcard and a gut shot. I bet $15, and he folds. 10 4 off, 4 3 off in a big blind, free flop, miss and fold. King 8 off, now in the button ourselves with queen 10 off. I make it $15, small blind 3-bets to 50. And yeah, definitely not the strongest hand to defend a 3-bet, so I do let it go, and he shows ace jack off. Now to cut off with king jack off, I make it $15, and this time everybody folds. Queen 4 off. Now I got another bomb pot, and once again, we're gonna get involved. Get ready. I've got 10 queen, 10 kings, so pretty hand. First board is jack 9-5. You have an open and a straight draw. Second board is ace 8-3, so not much going on, but it checks around. Turn is at 8, so we have the nut straight, and the other board is a 6, so we have a flush draw. Definitely improved our hand. Small blind now bet $75, and yeah, with the nuts on one board, that is not the best nuts, especially in these bomb pots, because other players can have it. So definitely not going to fast play this spot where I could just get quartered a lot. Since, yeah, there's decent amount more of queen 10s out there. I just call. Hijack cutoff and button call as well. River is pretty good. A king and a 7. So now I got the nut straight on one board and a flush draw on the other. That's decent, but still not amazing, because again, these are bomb pots and we are pretty multi-way. Plenty of people could have the ace high flush, the king high flush, and there is a combo of a straight flush, since 4-5 of spades is a straight flush that probably would call a turn bet. And yeah, so when now the small blind pots it for $450. Yeah, my hand does look very strong, but this is a shitty spot. If we were heads up, I'm snap calling, since it's really hard for me to get quartered. But I have 3 players left to talk after me that very likely can have queen 10 as well. And the small blind, he is a PLO player. I think, you know, he has a pretty good idea about these games, and him potting it on the river just looks so damn strong. I didn't think he'd be doing this that often, just with queen 10, that I think, you know, a lot of times is going to get quartered a good chunk of time. And it just really looked like the nut flush or a straight flush. So if he has that, I'm calling to try to chop or get quartered, or worse, if people after me just call with the queen 10. So I tanked for a decent amount of time. Again, looks pretty nitty, but it's not the best spot in a bomb pot. And yeah, but at the end of the day, yeah, I thought my hand was just too strong to fold, and I'm just hoping if I call and someone has queen 10 after me, they'll just fold, because, I mean, best case scenario, they're chopping. That's very unlikely, so they're just calling to most likely get quartered. So that is what I'm hoping. I do call, and we see the amazing news when everybody else does fold, and we see the even better news when he flips over queen 10, and nothing that could beat us on the other board that we have a flush. So we will quarter him. That definitely best case scenario. Honestly, it did really seem like I was calling to try to chop, and he did tell me that he was trying to get other players off of a straight that he definitely would have. If I only had queen 10 here, I'm just folding, because again, it's not the best spot when you're calling in best case scenario, chopping in a spot that a lot of players could have the same hand like you, so you'll end up just getting quartered or worse a good amount of times. So definitely very nice outcome to this bomb pot, running really good in them, since we've chopped 2 and got 3/4 on the other one. So 3 for 3, that is definitely running pretty well in the bomb pots. That honestly is almost the most important pot, since the bomb pots tend to get a lot bigger than the regular hands. Like, I would almost prefer to run good in bomb pots and just be card dead in the other ones. You could almost have a bigger profit, honestly, because people get pretty crazy, really easy to get the money involved. And yeah, after folding those few hands, now we got ace 3 suited in the cutoff. Button straddle is going on. I make it $35, and everybody folds. 10 deuce off, queen 8 off. Now I got a pretty one in the big blind, king queen suited. Under that makes it $15, folds to me. And yeah, happy calling. It's early position. I do call flop. 8 king 10, so pretty good. Top pair queen kicker. So when I check in a bet $20, I call. Turn is a 10. That, yeah, not the worst, not the best. So since he definitely could have 10s, but you see the good news when I check. He checks back. River though is definitely not the best. It's an ace. I check, and now he pots at $70, and this is airing. And I wish I could have had this hand back. I thought about this right after. I would have loved to just ripped it here all in, and I think I didn't, because I think I'm used to being more the passive route. I'm working on improving and taking more aggressive route that I've learned in the Hungry Horses. I think I'm doing better with time. I'm finding more spots, but in this moment, my mind just kind of went to I have showdown value, but most likely here, he just has a one-paired hand. He just has an ace, because if he has ace-king, I think he's mostly betting the flop. And if he has ace-10, of course he's betting. So this just looks like ace-jack, ace-9, ace-queen. And if I rip it here for about $400 he has behind, is he really calling here? I definitely have a 10 that's doing this. I have the straight. And yeah, it would be a really tough spot for just an ace to call here. And we do have good removal. We have a king, so less likely he has ace king, and we're blocking the straight. But in the moment, I was just thinking Aaron, he could be pretty aggressive, and I thought my king could be good. So I went my showdown and called, and indeed it was not against ace-9 suited that I definitely think we could have got to a fold if we ripped it all in. But sadly, we went down the passive side. But don't worry, in upcoming vlogs, I am pumping up the aggression. I'm finding a lot more spots and just bluffing a lot. I'm getting more comfortable with it. So don't worry, the content isn't always going to be like this. I will be taking down more aggressive routes in the future. And after folding those hands, we got a bomb pot that this time we will not get involved. Sadly, we can't get 4 for 4 since we have 5, 8, 3, 10. We miss and let it go. Wanted to mention that we start playing poker online again on a new poker site called Clubs Poker. It's based in America and legal. There's other good amount of content creators that are going to play up there. And if you want to play with me, be on content, since I'm going to be recording and support, since of course if you use my link I benefit personally. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. And now we have pocket tens and under the gun. I make it $15, hit the button, small blind and big blind to call. Flop, just one of those that you dream of. 10-5-5. I flop a full house, the second nuts, only losing against one combo of pocket sixes. Just amazing and pretty multi-way. And yeah, just having the board pretty locked up. If someone has a 5, we very likely will be able to get a lot of money in independent of what I do. And out of position, I tend to check. So I do check. Sadly, it checks around. Turn is a jack. Once again checks to me, and now let's try to get money in. At least now there's a flush draw, there's a straight draw, maybe someone who has a jack. I bet $30, but sadly such a beautiful hand, but no value to get since everybody folds. Very next hand we got 10-8 suited in the big blind under the gun 1 limps. Loads that makes it $20, and we both call. Flop 3 deuce 9. So yeah, some backdoors, but when it loads up at $60, that is basically pot. Pretty massive 3 ways. I'm not calling with backdoors. I let it go. Ace 3 off, Jack 6 suited, King 4 suited. Now it's time for a bomb pot. That ends up checking down. I have Jack 9, 5 deuce. First board 4, 10, 6. Second one 8, Jack ace. Turn is queen and a queen. River is a king and a 3. And we will win half of the pot again with a straight. So 4 for 5 is definitely amazing numbers. Let's move on to 10-9 off, Ace-6 off, 10-8 suited, Jack-3 suited in the big blind. Now we are in the small blind with the most beautiful hand in poker, pocket aces. Loads out makes it $15, cut off button calls. And let's 3-bet a decent size with the 2 callers in between. I make it 90, and only the cutoff calls, and he just has 60 behind. So yeah, I just go all in blind. Flop is 7, 4, 6. He calls, turn is a queen, river is a deuce, and he mucks. So definitely session is looking really good. Ace deuce suited, 10-6 suited, Jack 8 off, 6-5 off, King 6 off, 8 deuce off. Now we're in the big blind with Jack 7 suited. Under the 1 limps, but that makes it $20. And in the big blind, think good enough to defend. So I call, and so does the limper. Flop 9, Jack 6. So top pair, 7 kicker, pretty good. When I check, it checks around. Turn is a 6. And yeah, we have top pair, but a few things going on. Both players could have a 6. And under the gun 1, still could have better jacks. Since on the flop, he will most likely always be checking to the button. So he could still be pretty strong. So with a second kicker, I just checks to the button, who bets $20, and only I call. There is a deuce. I check again, he bets $35. And yeah, his line just seems like a 6 or nothing. And for that price, I do call, and he shows ace 10 off for ace high. So our pair of jacks will be good. We take this one down. Now in a small blind with queen 8 off. Now we got pocket 7s in the button. Cutoff makes it $25. I call, and the small blind squeezes to 125. Cutoff folds, and yeah, $100, not that deep. And yeah, not loving it. And I definitely don't like the double flat. So I do just let it go. Queen 5 suited, 9-5 off, 10-8 off, and now it's time for another bomb pot, and we got a very pretty promising hand. King, king, ace, queen. Let's see the flops. Flops are pretty as well. First one is ace, jack, ace. We have trip aces with a king kicker. Second board, though, is 7, 8, 10. So, yeah, absolutely nothing. And yeah, when it checks to us, there's hands that are beating us. Sure, we have trips, but ace, jack, pocket jacks. We're behind those, and on the other board, we have absolutely nothing. So I check, and it checks around. That's pretty nice. Turn is one of the best cards, a jack. So now less likely someone has pocket jacks or ace jack, and the other board is a 8. Yeah, nothing for us. Now, under than one pots it for $135. And yeah, I'm just happy calling here. That is what I do. And so does the hijack. River is a dream, a queen, and a 10. So we have the nuts on one of the boards. That's definitely always a great feeling when you're playing bomb pots. And yeah, with nothing on the other board, it checks to me. And this is a pretty good spot, I think, just to pot it, because maybe they don't have that strong a hand on the other board and we could get them to fold. Maybe they had a straight or some trips and they will fold to a 10. So if they fold on that board, it's a win for us since we're chopping against almost anything over there. And if we get them to call with a hand like ace jack, that's another massive win since we very likely will scoop them. So indeed, I pot it for $540 and only the under the gun one ends up calling. And I guess not the best case scenario since we do end up chopping it up since he has 8-7 for a full house on the other board. And we'll chop it up. That is still a decent little profit. Very next hand, we got another one we'll play. Pocket jacks and under than 2, under than 1 limb. So I make it $20 and get a cutoff and under than 1 to call. Flop, 9-7 deuce. And yeah, out of position, I check. So that is what I do when it checks around. Turn is a 9. Texting me again. And now I don't think too many people have a 9. I think they would have bet it on the flop, the ones in position or the ones out of position on the turn. So let's bet for value. There's plenty of draws. And maybe a 7 doesn't believe me. Or the straight draw. So I make it $40 and only the cutoff calls. River is a 4. And this seemed like a spot that very likely he may have a flush draw that missed or a straight draw and now tries to bluff at it. And this player is decently aggressive. So I do check and he bets, but just $40. That was pretty tiny. And I did consider briefly about check raising because this just seems like a block bet that maybe is trying to go thin for value or maybe just bluffing with air. But altogether, at the end of the day, I thought maybe it was a little too thin. So I do flick in a call and we are good against King 7. That definitely went pretty thin for value on the river. And now we got a little bit of garbage. 9-7 off, King Jack off, Ace Deuce off, 9-4 off, Queen 3 off, 7-6 off. And now in a hijack with a not premium, but very pretty King Jack suited. Under than 2 limps, I make it $20 and get a big blind under than 2 to call. Flop is promising 6-6, so we got the nut flush draw is a paired board though. When it checks to me, I think definitely good enough to bet. I make it $20 and just a big blind calls. Turn is very pretty. A4, we have the nut flush, not the nuts though. Another big blind leads for $50. That definitely looks very strong when a flush comes in. This most likely looks like a smaller flush than ours. So on a paired board, I just didn't want to raise right away. I think it looks super strong and maybe to find some pretty hero folds with a small flush. And we are in position. We could get more value on the river depending on what size he makes it or what happens. So I do flick in a call. River, not the card we're hoping for. It's a queen, so not any heart is a flush. And he indeed checks to us. And I think most likely he has a heart here. And I don't want to bet too big because I don't have too many bluffs here. And people could find some decent folds with small hearts in this spot. So I'm going to give him a decent price. I make it $100, basically half pot. He does indeed call, I show, and we are good. So definitely pretty nice. We are above $1,000. All right, you probably weren't expecting me to be home right now. And this is because this video is going to be half of the session. I had a goal to do videos every single week, and I'm trying to make it work with the time I have. That's very limited because if you follow me, you probably know because of my family and how much I play. So a way I think I can make this work best is by splitting the vlogs per half a session. So I'm going to try to get 2 done a week. So the goal I have is to actually have a whole vlog done in 1 week. I'll just split it. I'll post one like on Wednesday, another one on Sunday. But worst case scenario, there will be at least 1 video every week. So half on Sunday and a half next Sunday. So that is the goal. Instead of doing 1 every week and then when I don't have time every other week, it'll be 2 a week. And if I don't have time, 1 a week. So let me know because I definitely don't want to ruin the experience. I hope that doing this isn't gonna kind of kill the vibe of following a whole session. So this is kind of an experiment that I'm trying out to be able to hit the goal of making a video a week. And I think my videos are long enough that half is plenty of time too. Like this one was over 20 minutes. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. And next week will be the second half of this video. And I think that's about it. Oh, I want to mention I'm playing on Clubs Poker every week on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. I'm just grinding. Right now, I'm starting low at 25 no limit, type of a bankroll challenge, and trying to build my bankroll from there. So if you want to play online with me, I will for sure be there at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and then other random times through the week. I'll leave the link in my bio as well. Of course, if you use that link, you support me because I benefit financially from it. And that is it. So as usual, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for the second half of this video.